Hello and welcome to another Mimic Netflow simulation demonstration. In this video, we will demonstrate a Smurf DDOS attack. In a Smurf attack, the attacker sends a large number of ICMP packets with the intended victim's spoof source IP address and are broadcast to a computer network using an IP broadcast address. Now this causes all hosts on the network to reply to the ICMP request, causing significant traffic to the victim, which in this case is the server at IP address 192.168.2.122. To simulate the Smurf attack, we first configure a device with the Netflow module. Now this has been done for the device simulation at IP address 192.168.2.119. From the configure agent's Netflow dialog, we see the Netflow Smurf DDOS _ICMP configuration file. Now this mandatory file will determine what Netflow data will be generated. The IP address for the collector application is defined along with the collector port. Start the device and flows begin exporting to the collector IP address. With Mimic Netflow Smurf DDOS simulation running in the background, I will use the InnerMapper Flows collector application for the threat detection. Let's begin our investigation by looking at the data contained within the top sessions view. Now because a large number of ICMP packets with the intended victim spoof source IP address is broadcast to a computer network, we would expect to see that the bulk of the traffic will be ICMP protocol related. Again, from the top sessions view, we can observe that the top talkers or listeners are indeed ICMP related by looking at the protocol column and comparing total bytes: 402 megabytes, 386 megabytes, 386 megabytes for ICMP versus other protocols where we are in the tens of megabytes, 7.8 megabytes, 7.1. To look at the ports with the highest activity, we can see from the graphs and the table data that the overwhelming protocol traffic is indeed ICMP. Now we can see this from the bytes column when compared to the protocol. ICMP on port 3102, we have 342.2 megabytes. ICMP for port 3101, 176.9 megabytes, and so on, as compared to other protocols where the traffic volume is in the tens of megabytes. It can be surmised that by looking at the graphs in the table data from the top host view that the top talker listener, or in other words, the victim, is the device at IP address 192.168.2.122, simply by looking at the bytes count, where we have 647.2 megabytes versus 201 versus 37 megabytes and so on for the other devices. Let's take a closer look at the nf_smurf-DDOS _ICMP configuration file to see how we are able to export Netflow data that represents the Smurf DDoS attack. Looking at the Netflow configuration file via the Netflow wizard, observe the number of fields defined within the flow set. Now in particular, let's look at the flow fields IPv4 source address, IPv4 destination address, protocol, ICMP type. Now it's the return values as computed by the specified action scripts that dictates the Smurf DDoS attack. And with the Mimic Netflow module, you can create these types of predictable flows as a means to test and verify your flow collector application. Thanks for watching.